Cubs legend and, after this story, hero to men everywhere, Ben Zobrist, who retired after a 14-year career in baseball, learned that his wife was having an affair with their pastor. And according to court documents that surfaced last week, the same pastor was accused of defrauding Zobrist's charity of apparently hundreds of thousands of dollars. The 40-year-old ex-infielder seeks $6 million in damages from Byron Yawn, who is the pastor. He also is seeking money from the pastor for damages for defrauding him and, sleeping with his wife. But Zobrist is a two-time World Series winner. Like I said, Chicago Cubs legend, MVP with the Cubs for that World Series. Like he brought that city the championship essentially. So Ethan, not only did this guy defraud Zobrist's charity, not only did he make him question his faith in the Lord, but he also slept with his wife. What do you make of all this?
Zobrist is a saint, man. Like, he's a serious Christian. He loves his faith. He has a bunch of kids. I'm getting confused. He's a great guy. There's so many stories of him just being a sweetheart around the stadium, around the Cubs. He's a humble guy. He would ride his bike home and to and from home to stadium every day, Wrigley Field. There's Ben Zobrist on his bike, like fucking World Series MVP, just casually on the bike ride. Like, the guy's so humble. He's such a nice guy. He's always got a smile on his face. He was such a big part of not only the World Series win, but when he was with the Cubs, like he was always reliable. And you just breaks your heart. Like, wow, like his wife, who is supposedly like a Christian rock genre, she's supposed to be a good Christian, like went and slept with the pastor of all people. Like, not only that, like he's their counselor, he was their marriage counselor. Like,
right.
He was, and apparently like he's like, okay, you should give us some space. Like, that's what he would advise Zobrist, and like, yeah, so I could go sleep on the side. Like, come on, dude, get out of here. Like, like, how do you gotta do that? Yeah, it's awful. Like, literally, you're scum of the earth, those two.
Yeah.
Like, and I know they were when these allegations, when the rumors first started to come out. I want to say it might have been 2019. If I remember correctly, Zobrist, he took the whole beginning of the year off. He didn't come back till maybe August or late July, because he was just he didn't want to be at the stadium because they broke his heart. Like, and there's a lot of rumors like, oh, she slept with a bandmate, she slept with an ex so. I didn't hear that, like, oh, she didn't sleep with the pastor. I was like, holy shit. Like, all of those, like, the fact that she was just sleeping around. Hang on, real noise. The fact that she was sleeping around, it's like, come on. Like, I guess really nice guys, they just can't get away. And Zobrist is the definition of a nice guy.
Man, it's heartbreaking. It's heartbreaking.
Yeah.
The fact that it happened to such a nice guy, obviously.
Yeah,
and like, look, I'm not gonna, we don't know everything about their marriage or whatever, but like the optics of this are just
oh my god, yeah.
shit.
They always
bad.
look happy. They have like, I think the two of them for Halloween, him and his wife, and like at least his 3 kids, they all dress up as Power Rangers. Everyone's happy. They look like a perfect couple that actually want to be together, like, because they love each other. And then she's off doing who knows what, like on tour, like or with Caster too. Yeah. So
man.
And then there was like some hope when he came back. Everyone was like, wait, okay, what song is he gonna play? Because his walk-up song was always one of her songs, Juliana. And I think that year it was like kind of a shitty version of Benny and the Jets. So literally it's just like the walk-up is like her just screaming, Benny. And then he comes back and everyone's like, all right, what song is he gonna play? What song is he gonna play? And it's Benny and the Jets. I'm like, oh, maybe they worked things out. Maybe the rumors are wrong. Maybe,
I love how I love how you can tell like his relationship status by his walk-up song like that.
Right? All these. Oh, trust me. Like, I love.
Hey, welcome back to the show, the wrestling show. We're keeping it real, goes right. It's me, it's El Jefe of Real Take Sports, INC. El Jefe, Omar Qureshi, joined as always, by my co-host, my partner in life and in crime, Trevor, the barman, Souton.
How are you, sir?
Oh, I am tired. I am busy as a beach, but I am here, and I think you're here to talk about wrestling. And what a week in wrestling we got here, Trevor. We're gonna be talking about AEW Dynamite Grand Slam. We're gonna be talking about WWE Extreme Rules. We're gonna be talking about Owen Hart being all elite in 2021. So much to do, so much to see. So what's wrong with hitting that like button, subscribing, and hitting that notification bell so you get notified whenever a new video is released, guys? So much to get to. Trevor, just before we get started, though, what if you could? This is a big week in wrestling. We have one of the biggest. We have one of the biggest TV episodes of wrestling ever in the history of wrestling. Tomorrow night on Dynamite, we have Extreme Rules coming up. Just how do we put this into perspective for people?
We've talked about this past couple months. This is quite possibly the best year in pro wrestling. Everything that's happening, it's something that hasn't happened before. Put it like that. You don't typically get big TV events in a pay-per-view in the same week. It doesn't typically happen, but here in 2021, it is happening. And possibly because wrestling is better than it has been in the past, dare I say it, 20 years. You have a lot to look forward to. Don't know what to expect, but you have a lot to look forward to. So I'm excited, super excited.
I like how you said that. This actually might be the biggest year in wrestling that definitely in my lifetime. But let's talk about it, and that's the best part about it. This journey has just been an uphill thing for both of us, talking about wrestling every week, and it's just gotten better and better each week we talk about it. It's so great. Anyway, so let's get to it. Let's talk about it, and let's start off by talking about one of the biggest pay-per-views that WWE is going to put on this month, because I believe they have two. I think Crown Jewel. Actually, no, Crown Jewel is in October. Never mind. Yeah, but we don't care about it anyway. It's not canon, Marks. Anyway, but WWE Extreme Rules will be live this Sunday, September 26th on pay-per-view. Sorry, not on pay-per-view. Live on the Peacock Network, or whatever it is. It's going to be live on Peacock, September 26th, Extreme Rules, and it's going to feature a lot of interesting matchups. We're going to have Liv Morgan taking on Carmella. We're going to have the Usos versus the Street Profits as the Usos defend their WWE SmackDown Tag Team titles. Damian Priest will defend his United States title in a triple threat match against Jeff Hardy and Shamo. You're also going to have Charlotte Flair putting her Raw Women's title on the line against Alexa Bliss. Roman Reigns versus the Demon, Finn Balor, for the WWE Universal title, and Becky Lynch, the man, returning to pay-per-view, having her second match actually since she returned at SummerSlam. Becky Lynch versus Bianca Belair for the SmackDown Women's title.
Is this all the matches? This is
yeah. This is a B pay-per-view. Remember, so WWE is now doing B pay-per-views are shorter. They're about 2.5 hours long. So they took mercy on us. But Trevor, we ran down the card. Just general impressions of this show and kind of the build up to the entire thing.
You know what? For the first time, I have to admit that I'm looking forward to at least one Raw match. and that's saying a lot, because I could care less mostly about Raw, but it's actually a pretty good pay-per-view. The card, if it lives up to its expectations, it should be a good card, good pay-per-view altogether.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, one of the glaring things about this pay-per-view that I noticed was the fact that sorry about that. Oh God, Al, we really got to cut that out before the people on Spotify and Apple Podcasts stop listening. But
no.
One of the big glaring things that I noticed from this pay-per-view leading into it was the fact that there were no Extreme Rules matches on this pay-per-view announced at all, and it just got changed or whatever in the middle of this week. Like Roman Reigns versus Finn Balor is the only Extreme Rules match on this entire card. Other than that, there's nothing else. There's no stipulations. So they have a whole pay-per-view dedicated to Extreme Rules. And the name of it is Extreme Rules. And they have one Extreme Rules match. And look, I will say this. I'm also the guy who gets pissed off at the fact that there's like 15 Hell in a Cell matches every year on the same night. I'm the same guy who gets pissed off at that. And you're damn right I am. Because you can have an entire night where the card is just Extreme Rules matches, hardcore matches. That's fine. But you're telling me you can, but Hell in a Cell is a special type of stipulation. You can have a few hardcore matches, which I just don't get why you're calling it Extreme Rules. Just go back and call it the Horror Show or something, or bring
something stupid, yeah.
Or bro, the big balls of fire. Yeah, bring that back. See how well that does between the 18 to 35 demo. Anyway, but anyway, so. I mean, it's been a mediocre build for some of these matches, like the Usos versus Street Profits. That's a nothing match. It's gonna be fun to watch, but it's gonna be a nothing match. Probably the best build to any match on this card, in my opinion, has been the Damian Priest, Sheamus, and Jeff Hardy match, which I liked. I mean, look. It was a thing. We'll talk about it, I'm sure. Anyway, so Trevor, let's start off with the first match. Liv Morgan taking on Carmella. What do you think about it? Who wins and why?
It's kind of like a lackluster match. Not because either one of the women can't wrestle, because they're both very talented wrestlers. There's really no build up to it. I say Liv wins because in my eyes, you're trying to put Liv over, and right now Carmella is kind of over, but the Bella talent is put Liv over. So my opinion is Liv wins.
Yeah. I mean, Liv wins for the same reasons you said. I don't feel like we need to talk about it too much in depth. If you're going to, because these two have also already wrestled, and Liv has already beaten Carmella a few times over the summer. So this is literally a nothing match. There's nothing that's really going to be accomplished. You just continue Liv's winning streak at this point and hope that they do something with her in the SmackDown Women's title picture, because she deserves it. She's a good worker. Yes. I think she's over with the crowd to an extent that WWE doesn't realize, or people in the back at least don't realize. And she's one of my favorite things about SmackDown. Yep. And that's saying a lot, considering that this is the show that has Roman Reigns, Becky Lynch, and Bianca Belair and the like. One quick aside. Ibby B in the chat says, I'm usually sleeping at this time in England, but I'm awake and glad to catch the stream. Always enjoy listening to your thoughts, guys. Keep up the great work. Much appreciated, Ibby B.
Much appreciated, man. Thanks so much.
Thank you. Please get some sleep when you can, my friend. But yeah, I think this is a Liv Morgan wins, but WWE likely going to serve us with a Carmella win because they love 50-50 booking, right? Anyway, moving on, the Usos taking on the Street Profits. What do you think?
Like you said, should be entertaining. It's a nothing match, though. It should be very entertaining. Usos retain. That's all I can really say about it.
This is going to be one of the shortest pay-per-view reviews we've ever done. Usos win, lol. I love the Street Profits. They're going to go out there and have a very good match. It's going to be entertaining. It's going to have a lot of great moves. They are going to they could put on a clinic and steal the show, but at no point am I going to think that the Usos titles are in jeopardy, because they're building this whole thing between the New Day and the Bloodline, and I think the titles are an important part of that going into Survivor Series, because you want to have Big E as the WWE champion, and eventually the New Day is gonna win the tag titles, and then on the other side you want to have Roman Reigns as representing SmackDown as the Universal Champion, and the New Day, the Bloodline rather, the Usos having the SmackDown tag team titles. So yeah, I mean, that's what makes sense. You would have that Raw and SmackDown dynamic because that's what they do at Survivor Series. But WWE has never before, has sometimes before bent to logic. So who knows?
Yeah, true.
Let's go to this match, which I think is going to be probably one of the best matches of the night. Damian Priest versus Sheamus versus Jeff Hardy for the U.S. title, a triple threat match. What do you think?
Great build up. Like, again, piggybacking off what you said, great build up. I thought I like what they're finally doing with Damian Priest. I like what they're doing with Sheamus. Jeff Hardy, there's a nice little topping on there. I personally say Damian Priest wins only because you want to keep his momentum. You want to keep building him up. But I mean, this is WWE. You could see a Jeff Hardy title sighting. It's possible.
Yeah, I mean that's the other thing. They could do a thing where Damian Priest doesn't get pinned but loses the title, but I don't see the logic in that, especially when if they're gonna hotshot a title, they're more likely to do it on Raw nowadays than they are on actual pay-per-view. So
Right.
So, I mean, I just think it's a great way to build up Damian Priest as a monster, have him beat two legends. And yes, Sheamus at this point, I think, is a legend. Like, Sheamus is a great wrestler, was a five-time world, five-time. I'm pretty sure he's a five-time world heavyweight champion. At this point, Jeff Hardy's had about 3 or 4 title reigns. This is a big way, and I think if you emphasize the fact that Damian Priest pinned 2 future Hall of Famers, 2 future world champions in the same night, or 2 former world champions in the same night, that is big for this kid's career.
It is.
And look, kid, he's like 37. That's big for this guy's career, and it could launch him into that main event picture as well. But one thing that I have not seen WWE do as of recently is build people up to that mold, right?
Right.
Because they never mention, or they'll sometimes throw it in there, but they'll never really build up the fact that Sheamus has won the title for the world title 4 times, 5 times, whatever it is. They don't really mention Jeff Hardy, like really mention it being Jeff Hardy is a multiple-time world champion, and Damian Priest is holding his own against this future Hall of Famer. I'm just like, just build them up, and so that the guy who beats them actually looks good at the end of it.
Exactly. I totally agree with you. But it's so weird that they don't. Like with other wrestlers, they'll say, "Oh, AJ Styles, the former blah 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 champion," or just some random person, former blah, blah, blah champion. But they don't do that with Sheamus and Jeff Hardy. Like I don't think I've ever really heard that Jeff Hardy was a former champion, heavyweight champion. It's just weird about that. It's weird.
I agree. It is weird, especially because they're always building up how R-Truth is a 99-time, 24/7, 7-Eleven, 95 champion, whatever he is. Like they're always building that up, and I'm just like, dude, like I've won the 24/7 title a bunch of times. Like I've won it a few times. Like, come on now.
Exactly.
I'm pretty sure you have a reign there you don't even remember.
I'm pretty sure I do too. Like, I mean, at this point, everyone's had it.
Everyone's had it. I'm sure Ibby B in the chat's had it too.
Gronkowski's had the belt, so come on.
Gronkowski's had the belt. Yeah, man. Like it is. That belt is the people's belt. I will say that the 24/7 title is the people's belt.
That's a nice way of saying it.
Everyone gets a piece. But I think we're in agreement here. Damian Priest probably retains.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, on to our title matches, our world title matches. First, let's start off with Charlotte Flair taking on Alexa Bliss. This has been built up as Charlotte Flair being the main, she's the champion, and Alexa Bliss really trying to play mind games with Charlotte with the doll and everything, and it's come across as well as either of us probably would have thought it would. Not great, but a lot of people are thinking this could be a chance for Alexa to get the title. What do you think?
So I will also agree. It has not come across well, as we've talked about this many, many times. But I will also say this: I've enjoyed the promo she's done a little more than I had in the past. Like this much more. This much more. This much. This much. Like this one. Put it like that. Like I'd haven't turned it off immediately. I've turned it off like 5 minutes in, but not immediately. No, actually like 2 minutes in. But still, because I still don't watch wrestling. I still don't watch Raw. But it's still a terrible gimmick because they have not nurtured it. They have not done what they should have done with it. But I think this is going to be a chance to Alexa Bliss gets the belt. So I say Alexa Bliss.
It's been better.
I said you saw the margin, right? It's like the fingernail. Like, that's
Wow.
not much.
Wow, you and I are on opposite sides of it. How has she done bad? Like, no, Alexa Bliss is turning chicken salad into well, no, she's turning chicken shit into significantly less smelly chicken shit. No, like it's not great.
I did I once say that it was amazing proto? No, I said it's a teensy tiny bit better than what it used to be. No, not once did I say it's an amazing gimmick or it was an amazing promo. No, that's not what I said. I said I have turned it off 2 minutes in, which is better than just turn it off immediately. But other than that, no. I think it's gonna be an interesting match because they both can wrestle. But other than that, no.
Alexa Bliss is my favorite. She is my favorite female wrestler in the entire world. Her talents are being wasted. Yes, wasted by the Raw creative team. This gimmick is trash. She can't save it. I'm sorry. You're doing a great job, a better job than anyone else on the planet would do, Alexa. This cannot be saved. The dolls are probably going to get a lot in merch sales. I don't even know if they're going to get a lot in merch sales. With Uncle Dave Meltzer, let us know what's going on with the merch on that doll.
Does she even have merch at this point?
Oh, she has the doll, and which is exactly why I think they might put the title on her. I think they're going to put the title on her to put her in even more so in the limelight for Monday Night Raw, and so that they can probably try to sell those dolls because I saw pictures. They have like literally barrels full of that Lily doll. So they're trying to get Lily over. They're not, which again is hurting Alexa's chances of getting over. And look, at the end of the day, they're going to have a very good match. These are two of the best performers in the entire world, male or female, in Charlotte and Alexa Bliss. And the reason I say male or female is because sometimes people think that I'm just talking about, oh, well, yeah, they're the best performers, in the women's division. No, these are two of the best in the entire world, period. So that's why I want to put the emphasis on male or female. So so these two, I think they're gonna end up. I think they could very well end up winning the crowd. They could very well end up having a great match. I just don't think in the long run it's going to do much for the gimmick. I don't think in the long run it's going to do much to really dig them out of the creative hell that they're in. But I'm gonna go with Alexa on this one.
Alexa, hands down. All right, I think Alexa's winning.
Yeah. Cool. Roman Reigns will be taking on, he will be defending his WWE Universal Heavyweight Championship against the Demon, the returning Demon, Finn Balor, in an Extreme Rules match. This match marks the first time in, I believe, 3 years we have seen the Demon, Finn Balor, in full makeup. We will see him and in all of his glory. What do you think about the return of the Demon in this capacity and the build-up to this match, Trevor?
So the build-up to me is like really, I don't know. I don't know how else to feel about this match because of the fact, like, okay, so Brock Lesnar's back. Okay, so are they gonna wrestle Brock Lesnar? No, they're starting a program with Finn Balor. So he beat Finn Balor. Does Finn Balor come back? I don't know. It's so fucking confusing. It started with like John Cena, like. Finn steps up. You put Cena in the mix. Cena loses. You put Finn back in the mix. No. Wait. Brock's here. And then Finn jumps in. And now Finn is the Fiend. Not the Fiend. I'm sorry. The Demon. The Demon. And you're like, okay. So you're wasting something that actually most people enjoy. Like, I enjoy watching the Demon come out. I think this is a waste. I think this is a waste of the demon gimmick. I honestly did nothing against either wrestler because I think they both are going to put on a hell of a match. I love Finn Balor, but honestly, I say Roman Reigns wins. I don't think they drop the belt right now, and especially since Brock is in the mix, I don't think they drop the belt to him right now.
Yeah, I'm in full agreement with you. I think that they're going to end up. You don't bring the Demon back like this. You don't do it. I think this was very. This is one of those things where WWE just wanted to give maybe a little shot in the arm and extend this feud a little bit, and then this is the best way that they saw it fit. Which, yeah, it extends the feud, but what does it do for Balor afterwards? He lost already. He took an L as Finn Balor. now you're gonna have him take an L as the Fiend. And I think that is just that is just what?
I confused you. You said the Fiend. Demon.
Oh, sorry, the Demon. Oh my God, you did confuse me. Yeah, this is why I am the CEO of Real Take LLC. Anyway, but you have this gimmick in the Demon who his whole thing is Finn Balor goes to this place when he knows he absolutely can't lose, and you're gonna have him return just to job to Roman Reigns, and again they're gonna have a great match, whatever, but he's going to lose. But then there's the other thing. You and I are thinking about it logically. But in the world of WWE, wins don't matter. That's the way that they truly view things. They view things in a very short term bubble. So compounded with the fact that, they think like that, compounded with the fact that Brock Lesnar and Roman Reigns have a title match already set for Crown Jewel in Saudi Arabia, I don't think that we can expect Finn Balor to win. There's a slight chance that if Brock Lesnar gets involved in this match, that could lead to the Demon winning. But then again, then you're kind of undercutting the entire point of the Demon, because then the Demon didn't win Finn Balor the title, Brock Lesnar did.
Right.
So, yeah, I guess, all that's being said, who do you got and why?
Roman Reigns. Roman Reigns, because, again, logically, it just makes sense.
Roman wins, lol, acknowledge him. Oh my God, I'm getting way too many of the. I tweet anything about I like respond to tweets about AEW sometimes, and all these WWE marks have to say is like, acknowledge him, like Tribal Chief. Like I'm just like, dude, you're turning Roman heel again.
Again.
Like, stop it. Anyway, let's go to my main event for this pay-per-view. I don't know if it will be. Roman's probably going on last. But Becky Lynch will be defending her SmackDown Women's title against Bianca Belair. Becky Lynch returned, obviously, at SummerSlam. She defeated Bianca Belair in an impromptu matchup for the SmackDown Women's title. She squashed her, absolutely squashed her. And then the feud has proceeded to see Becky cut some heel promos. She's doing a good job, but it's just weird to see Becky Lynch as a heel. And also we saw just this past week, Becky Lynch actually go to Bianca Belair's hometown and beat her up, which is what WWE does to everyone in their hometown, apparently. What do you think about Becky Lynch in this role and the buildup of this match, Trevor?
I don't know. Like you said, it's kind of weird. It's kind of weird to see Becky in this role, even though, like, originally Becky was supposed to. Originally, when Becky turned into the man, it was supposed to be a heel turn. But everyone loved Becky so much and loved the idea of Becky being ruthless, it turned her more into a tweener than just a straight heel or just a straight face. And I thought it was great. But now it seems like she's going to straight heel at this point, and which is cool, but it just looks weird. It's not that it doesn't fit her, and it's not that she can't pull it off. It's just something that I guess is still relatively new. The paint is still drying on it. You know what I'm saying? So it's not something that is still registering. But I think she's doing a good job with it. It's just odd. The build up for it was interesting, and I mean it's pretty good build up. It's going to be a pretty solid match. Both women can wrestle, and they're two of the best performers in WWE, honestly. So I think it's going to be very entertaining. If I'm a betting man, I still say Becky wins though. And
yeah,
the reason being off something you said a couple months ago. I think it helps build Bianca Belair. Makes her a little more ruthless, makes her a little more cunning, takes off that pure face that she has, and maybe build her into something else. And I believe she will have the belt again, though.
Yeah, she has to. The best part about a babyface is the chase for the title. But Becky Lynch is going to win this match, and it is going to be... I hope it's a better match than they had at SummerSlam. I hope it's a longer match than they had at SummerSlam, because otherwise you're kind of burying Bianca at this point. And I would argue that Bianca could use this win at this point, but again, they've just done a terrible job of trying to build her up after that shocking loss at SummerSlam. I don't know. I'm thinking too logically here. Becky wins. They're building up for a match, I'm sure, between her and Bianca at Royal Rumble or somewhere down the line. And I think at that point you're going to see her win. But yeah, I think this is a slam dunk.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I honestly don't think it's too logical. I think it's just too logical in the world of WWE. But your thought process makes perfect sense.
Stamford, Connecticut, where logic goes to die. Let's take it to the chat real quick because we have a bunch of chats here. Thank you guys for hitting us up. Keep hitting us up in the chat, by the way, as the show goes on. Ryan Woodward says, "Hi, bro. Should Jeff Hardy leave WWE soon and join AEW? And will The Rock join AEW next year?" Well, I can totally tell you The Rock's not joining AEW. Rock might join WWE next year, but he's not joining AEW. Yeah, but
he's
Trevor.
not going to AEW.
Yeah. What do you think about Jeff Hardy potentially going to AEW, Trevor?
That's interesting. I've actually been thinking about that recently because what Matt's doing over there, and let's just be honest, Jeff's treatment here isn't the greatest. So I mean, I think it'll be interesting. It'll be fun to see them go at the AEW tag titles.
It'd be fun to watch, Michael. the Tuesday night delight. All right. We got some more chats from Ryan, by the way. Ryan says, WWE already spoiled Extreme Rules. Roman will beat Finn. Yeah, they already did that with Brock Lesnar's return. Yep. He also says Brock will get involved with the match and cause Finn the match. Maybe if he really wants the title, that's a possible thing. Brock costing Finn the match. To keep that title, keep that match at Saudi Arabia, a title match. Hi, bro. What NFL team should I pick for week 3 because I am 3 losses and out? Well, if you want to know what NFL team to pick, you should watch my Sunday morning show, Real Take Football Talk, where I talk about every single game on Sunday, tell you exactly who to pick, who to win. I was 12-4 last week on all my picks, which is amazing. So I kind of know what I'm talking about here. I really don't.
Not to deviate from what we're talking about. It's funny you mentioned that. Did you hear about the guy on ESPN that had the 16-game parlay for $25, and every
he had
team,
everything.
Every team he picked won except for one. It was the Detroit Lions game. Oh,
I had Detroit too in that game. So
he had
same logic.
Yeah. If he would have won, if Detroit would have won, he would have had $737,000.
I need to start gambling. No, I don't. Anyway, but yeah, Real Take Football Talk every Sunday morning right here on the channel. Ryan, I will tell you exactly who to pick and why. Becky's having. I'm not going to read that one. We don't talk about that kind of stuff here. Do you think that Bliss will win the belt and turn heel on the doll? We can only hope. We can only hope that she turns heel on the doll. She will turn face on that doll. What do you mean? She will turn face on that doll. She will be the super over baby face because of that. Kerwin Abreu is in here. He says, "You believe Dave Meltzer said 1,500 fans left the arena during Charlotte Flair and Alexa's match on Raw?" Yeah, so that was a thing. Apparently, there were 1,000 people who left. We'll talk about this actually later on in the show. Just to hit on it very quickly, it's not just Meltzer. There are other people who are reporting this, and while I'm skeptical about the 1,500 number. I think it's difficult to truly say the exact number. But if a shit ton of people walked out and people saw it, I think a shit ton of people walked out. But We'll see. We'll see what happens. And finally, Kerwin asks, your thoughts about WWE changing Keith Lee's name to Keith Bearcat Lee. Oh, I'm going to let you take this one, Trevor.
Keith Bearcat Lee?
Yeah, you didn't get this? On Raw, they re-debuted him as Keith Bearcat Lee.
Jesus freaking Christmas. What the? You know what? I'm not even... Fuck you, Vince. That's all I'm fucking saying. Jesus. What the fuck? And I don't know if you're watching NXT.
I'm not. But I'm gonna watch it later.
Some bullshit just happened, so
I'm sure. Don't spoil it for me, or do. Who cares? But you know what you should do? hit that like button, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. Guys, we got daily videos about wrestling and many other things, so please keep up with that. Follow us on Twitter at Real Take Sports as well. Let's move on, Trevor, and let's stick with WWE and talk about the brand split. We got some news this week about the brand split, and it is looking like WWE is wanting to kind of undercut it a little bit. Let's talk about it. So the WWE rosters have obviously been split up since 2016. They had a big brand extension then. They had another one in 2019 after that one kind of fell through. And WWE's next draft and the subsequent shakeup of the rosters is scheduled to be Friday, October 1st on SmackDown. And it looks like on the September 20th edition, after the September 20th edition of Raw, WWE is looking to incorporate some sort of a wildcat rule. This is according to, I believe, Wrestle Votes and Fightful and other sources. The reports indicate that if Roman Reigns' advertisement on the red brand leads to bigger ratings than normal for Raw, which it kind of did, then you could see more SmackDown talent showing up on Raw and vice versa. They could have some of the big stars on Raw and kind of have a wild card rule for likely the champions and people like Brock Lesnar and the like, really big stars. So the rule would largely the Wildcat rule originally in 2019, I believe it was very negatively received by audiences, and it was later scrapped after the second brand extension. But Trevor, is this a smart idea for WWE, having people show up on both brands? What does it show about their mentality towards the brand split right now?
They realize that Raw is not doing so well. This is just my perception of it. They realize that Raw isn't doing so well, so bringing other stars on Raw to boost the pretty much the ratings and boost the audience would help. You know what I mean? At this point, anything I think would be positively received toward the red brand. Anything you try to do, like, at least your fans know that you're trying to do something, that you actually give a shit about this pretty much this flagship show. But at the moment, no one believes you do, so no one else does. But I think it'd be positive. I think to have that brand split and the wildcat rule, even just to try it and see how it works, I think would be worth their while.
It's called the Bearcat rule in honor of Keith Lee. But yeah, no. In all seriousness, I don't like it. I didn't like the Wildcat rule when they incorporated it. The whole point of the brand split is to make it special when someone else shows up on the brand. If you're not going to have the brand split, don't have it. Treat Raw and SmackDown like your two main shows. Build all of your storylines using both shows, and just don't have a brand split. But if you already have the brand extension, and look, USA and Fox are very deeply invested into the brand extension because Fox likes the fact that they can say Roman Reigns is exclusive to SmackDown because they can build up that Roman Reigns is their guy, their wrestling guy. Vice versa, USA likes to do that with people like Lashley or Big E or whoever is a champion right now, right? So that's what the two networks really like, and I think at the end of the day, you're not going to see this incorporated on a larger scale, and if you do, I'm going to be very skeptical about it because I think the fans are just going to, the fans might actually start to tune out because if they're like, well, we're getting all the action on, or most of the action on Raw or whatever, or it's going to be a recap, there's no reason to watch it. So I don't like this. I think it sets a bad precedent. And it shows us what we already know, that WWE doesn't really care about the brand extension. They don't really care about brand exclusivity and they don't want to keep it special because the one time that these brands are actually supposed to meet is like Survivor Series. That is when you got the Survivor Series is now basically bragging rights. You got SmackDown versus Raw every single year. And then if you're going to just have multiple people showing up on each show every single time, it's going to make that less special. It's going to make things like the Royal Rumble less special, and it's just kind of again, it's just not going to be logical because you're not following your own rules. WWE is an entire company that they put very little rules. They very small amount of written rules into their wrestling and into their show. But the few ones they have, like the brand split, they always seem to undercut and they always seem to undermine. It just doesn't make sense to me because then why is your audience there? Your audience is told that, well, why should I care when everything you do is just week to week and dependent on how you feel in the moment. It's not logical. Don't do it, WWE. The networks won't like it. It makes very little sense. That you want to have better ratings for Raw? Here's an idea. Write better.
That's too easy. Because if that's the case, they would have been done it already. But I mean, like, it's too easy. They want to do things the hard way. And that's why I said what I said. But, I mean, honestly, it's dumb. Like, if you want to show better, like you say, treat it better, work on it better, like, get better writing, get better talent. I mean, give talent a chance, But they don't do that. And don't name characters the fucking Bearcat.
It's like next week, we're going to have Damien. Fucking Big Dog. No, that's already taken shit.
Wild
Roman Big Dog Reigns. Wow. Look how he's a big dog. Who's a good dog. Roman.
Is he at least like this? Is he at least wearing like high school or college gear when he comes out?
You'll have to see it, Trevor. I promise you won't be disappointed.
I'm sure I will be.
He's a Bearcat, all right? Yeah, that name's never gone bad for anyone, all right? You remember Wildcat Chris Harris in TNA?
Are you really gonna talk about that?
No, we're not gonna talk about it. We'll talk about something that's going on in the chat right now. Ryan Woodridge asks, do you want to see Triple H join AEW next year? That would be interesting for sure. I don't think it's going to happen, but that would totally be interesting.
Interesting. I mean, but what? I wonder what capacity.
He's never leaving. I mean?
He's not, but
he's married to Vince's daughter. He's never leaving.
Yeah, oh no, he's not. But I'm just saying, if he did, like, what capacity would he be? Probably be like someone backstage. He wouldn't be an active.
What would he be? What would he even take? Because Triple H is the guy you need to give him control. Tony Khan's not going to give up control.
Oh no.
He'd just be like an EVP, like part of the booking committee. But I don't think he would never do that. He's got it too good in WWE. He's literally Vince still loves him. It's not happening. Brian asks me another sports question: is Seth Curry going to get traded to the Lakers? Do you think that would be a good fit? No, he wouldn't get traded because he's not leaving Golden State, and I don't even think that would be a good fit. They already have Russell Westbrook, so why would you do it?
Exactly. No, that's the point.
Yeah, so.
The Lakers already have a point guard, sir.
Sure.
Yes.
Even though I don't think Russell Westbrook's actually a point guard.
Husky Harris should have joined the Nexus, and he did.
He should have.
Speaking of the Nexus, you know what show they originally started on? NXT. My oh my, how far we've come, and then come all the way back home. NXT's coming home, back to what it originally was, just trash TV. But hey, Vince wants to make it the good type of trash TV, the entertaining kind of trash TV. Let's talk about it, Trevor. According to a report from Fightful Select, NXT's target audience could be set to change, with discussions backstage bringing up the idea of making it an edgier product. These ideas have come directly from Vince McMahon, who reportedly has taken a bigger role within the NXT revamp, including the NXT 2.0 demographic. He wants to target people between the ages of 18 and 35 and have a more aggressive, harsher language on his show. It's interesting. The quote from the report is, quote, keep up with current affairs with promos and character verbiage. Keep up with the kids, pal, was another big note from this. And while these changes have not been confirmed to be going ahead, one talent noted that Fightful that they hadn't been made aware of them. So this could be something that has just been brought up in a meeting backstage. But what do you think of the idea of NXT presenting an edgier product, something more aggressive, more in tune with the 18 to 34 demographic? And why would WWE go down this route?
I mean, wrestling, especially WWE's best era, was the Attitude Era, and that was one of the most edgier eras of wrestling, right? So, I mean, I guess if you use that same thought process, maybe it will help NXT. But again, it goes back to this old adage: why fix something that wasn't broken? But that's not what we're talking about. But I mean, maybe they think that will change NXT for the better. Maybe give it a 2.0 Attitude Era esque remake. Maybe, I don't know. I mean, but again, it's just stupid. But I mean, I guess they feel that NXT is too sunshines and rainbows at this point, which I don't understand.
Have you seen the logo? Of course, it's sunshine to the rainbows. Look at it,
dude. They just did a fucking wedding when a guy threatened everyone with a goddamn hatchet. The lead thing in her vows was about him being a stalker. Like, if that's not edgy, I don't know what the fuck is.
You know what they did? You know what they did? I just realized this, and now I hate the whole storyline. All they did was copy the entire plot of You Season 2.
Yeah.
That's literally all they did. Oh, this creep, he's stalking a girl. Oh, it turns out the girl is a stalker too and a creep.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Wow. Oh, spoiler alert for anyone who hasn't seen You. Check it out. It's a really good show. But much better than this. Much better than this show, by the way. NXT 2.0 fucking sucks. They better start cursing on there. I want to hear fuck. I want to hear shit. I want to hear cock. I want to hear all of the terms.
I want to hear
all of the stuff you don't hear on WWE TV. Make that your Attitude show. Make it NXT Attitude. Oh, Vince would totally market the shit out of that. Make it NXT Attitude. Bring back The Rock. Bring back Stone Cold. Have everyone just make it the Attitude Era because that's what they want to do anyway. Legends Night on NXT. No, that's a joke. But no, I mean, look, in all seriousness, having an edgy product is definitely the route to go. And you know what you should probably have to go along with that? A product that shows good wrestling, because then you're way more likely to get the 18 and 34 demo. Because if you're not going to have, the best wrestlers wrestle on a show and you're going to try to present it as an edgier product, will it help the talent? Possibly, because they might have a little more creative leeway, but at the end of the day, it's all coming from Vince. At the end of the day, it's all being written for them, so it's not going to be that much more creative. I think that it is just it's a good idea in theory. It is not a good idea. It's not going to be good in execution because we know WWE historically over the past 2 decades has not been good at executing these type of ideas. In the long term, I think we're going to go back to the cookie cutter version of NXT. I am still of the belief that NXT is going to be what ECW was in 2010, right as they closed their doors, with the WWE ECW brand. They're going to try it for a few weeks. It's not going to work because it's not going to be long lasting. It's not going to help out with stories. It's not going to help out with good wrestling. Yeah. 1 out of 10. Bullshit.
Yeah, I totally agree with everything you said. It's not gonna work. I mean, you want to do something edgier, have edgier wrestlers with great, talent, have good wrestling matches. Because I'm gonna be honest with you, NXT has had some great wrestling matches. Last week, I didn't see not one sign of that.
It was the Fatal 4-Way was pretty good.
It was okay compared to what it could have been and what it has been in the past. I thought the ending was too just like put it together, get it. It was too just straightforward. But and again, I still don't know who that blue pants wearing jabroni was. But other than that, it wasn't a bad match. But
if you guys know who that blue pants wearing jabroni was in the NXT World Title match last week, please let us know.
I mean, I actually know who he is, but still, I don't know why he was there.
No, I don't care enough to actually look it up.
Because I didn't even know he was training. Like, I don't.
But apparently was he Bull Buchanan's son? Was he Bull Jr.?
No, he's one of the Beverly brothers.
Okay. Then. I'm thinking of the wrong person. Anyway, who cares? This is why the show is on a Tuesday night. So I have an excuse not to watch NXT. Anyway, let's keep it going, Trevor. Let's go to the chat real quick. Raul in the chat says, "Hello, good morning." Hello, good morning.
Hi.
Glad we had this conversation, Raul. Anyway, guys, be sure to hit that like button, help out the algorithm, help more people see this. Subscribe to the channel and hit that notification bell so you get notified whenever a new video is released. If you're listening on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, hit that follow button and please leave us a 5-star review because we love it. We got a lot more to get to. We're going to be talking about AEW, a lot of the AEW news, ticket sales for them, Grand Slam, and at the end, we're going to be talking about Dark Side of the Ring. Yeah, that's going to be an interesting conversation, but a much needed conversation that is we probably should have had sooner, but but we're going to do that and get to all that. So please subscribe, guys. Trevor, AEW Grand Slam. On a scale of 1 to 10, how excited for this pay-per-view are you? Or this pay-per-view? This show, this TV show, sir. This TV show. How excited are you?
About a 10, man. This is gonna be, dude. It's a fun week. It's gonna be a fun week of wrestling. It's gonna be a great week of wrestling. I can't wait to see it.
Yep. AEW Grand Slam, AEW Dynamite Grand Slam, rather, will be held on Wednesday, September 22nd, live from Arthur Ashe Stadium, which is now sold just under 19,000 seats as of this recording. They've opened it up to 20,000 right now, so it's looking like they're going to have a packed house, and they are ready to roll. The card for the event is a pay-per-view level card. It is really something else when we look at it. You got Brian Pillman Jr. versus MJF, Malachi Black taking on Cody Rhodes, Sting and Darby Allin teaming up to fight FTR, Kenny Omega versus Bryan Danielson in a non-title match, a dream match that people have wanted to see for years, and what I believe is going to end up being the main event, the Good Doctor, Britt Baker, DMD, defending her AEW World title against Ruby Soho. What a card. Trevor, just what do you think about this card? What do you think about this show in general? Like, this has got to be one of the biggest TV events in wrestling in a very long time.
Oh, it undoubtedly is. It might be the biggest TV wrestling event in, like, as Don Callis says, in the last 2,000 years. It's big. It's huge. Just think about it. No wrestling program has ever been wrestling anything has been in Arthur Ashe Stadium. No one has been ballsy enough to hold an event there like wrestling. This is big, man. It's big for wrestling history. It's big for the sport of wrestling right now. It's important. It's fun. This card shows how much fun and how important it's gonna be. Like, dude, like this, like you said, this is pay-per-view caliber matches. Like, even the Brian Pillman Jr. MJF. That
was a pay-per-view level match for MLW in 2019. They had an event where Brian Pillman Jr. took on MJF back in the day.
Yeah, it did. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so like these two have chemistry, they have history. That's why I think you saw the severity of those promos being as big as they are. We'll get to that in just a second, but I really want to just talk about the masterful job that AEW has done in building this as a big time event. They had All Out, which people are claiming that was one of, if not the best pay-per-view of all time, which I think it's definitely up there. But they're the sequel to that, the response to that, for AEW is to right afterwards have the biggest, what might be the biggest TV event in wrestling history, and the biggest card they probably put together. This right here, Omega versus Danielson. We'll get to it in a second. It's a huge match. It's a match people want to see for a decade, and it is happening on free TV, non-title. So literally, either one could win. And CM Punk's going to be there. They're going to have, obviously, JR on commentary. This is something. Sting is wrestling. What a time to be alive, man.
Yeah, man. Well, this is third match of the year, right?
Yep. This is his third official match of the year, I believe, or fourth if you count the cinematic match he had at Revolution. But
Right.
let's talk about the card very quickly. So let's start off with Malachi Black, who will be taking on Cody Rhodes, the returning Cody Rhodes. We saw Malachi Black try to end Cody Rhodes' career after he hit him with the crutch at AEW Homecoming, and then Cody was out for a while. Malachi has been taking out Cody Rhodes' entire Nightmare family. And then finally Rhodes returned. He got a little help from Rosario Dawson. Big shout out to Rosario Dawson for the assist on Malachi Black. And they look all gung ho. They look all ready to go. Malachi versus Cody. What do you think about the build of this match?
I love it. I love the build of this match. The funny thing is, to me, the second match was built from when Malachi Black walked into in AEW, and a lot of people wouldn't understand what I mean, but the first match was a given, right? The second match was built. When he ran through Arn Anderson, I just knew he was going to beat Cody, and the second match was already built in my mind. So it's already great build for it, great storyline. Both wrestlers have amazing chemistry in the ring. I love how Malachi wrestles. I've always have. So it's going to be fun. Very entertaining.
Yeah, absolutely. I think they've done a very good job of building this up. It kind of reminds me in a way of the Brody Lee Cody feud from last year because it had similar elements. Obviously, Cody had to go film the Go Big show at the same time as well. But I think they could be in a spot to actually kind of finish that feud in a weird way, in a more indirect way, kind of carry like what that story should have been or could have been, where we might get to see little tidbits of that as this feud continues. But I mean, this is a perfect time for Cody to come back and reclaim his throne, as we like to say, as he likes to say. But it's gonna be interesting. It's gonna be fun. I'm going to go with a wild card here. I think Malachi Black, even though he's the heel, even though this is Cody's big return and everyone's expecting him to go over because that's what Cody does. Cody wins lol. I'm joking. We love you, Cody. But everyone's expecting that to happen. I think Malachi Black wins, and he could use some devious tactics to do so. But I think he ends up winning this match, and it could end. And I think you build it up to another match between these two at Full Gear, and have it be a lights out match that Cody ends up winning. Like that's what I would want to see, because this is a main event level match, and I think it could be there. But that's just an idea. But what do you think about this? Who wins and why?
It's funny that you say that. I honestly believe that Malachi Black wins too, only because, I mean, let's not say the obvious reasons to get him over, because, I mean, fuck, he was over when he walked through the door. He's already over. But, to build Malachi as this malicious heel, I think you let him win. You let him win. And then it also helps build Cody, which Cody doesn't really need any more building. Cody's completely over as well. But it builds
Cody. You got to get Cody over, brother. You got to get Cody. Cody, you got to protect your spot, brother.
It builds Cody to this supreme badass that we know he actually is. And like you say, another match at Full Gear that can be some type of hardcore match or, lights out match. So, yeah, I think Malachi wins.
Yeah, absolutely. And look, I'm very much excited for this card, and so are you guys in the chat. Ibby B in the chat says these next 24 hours are going to feel like a week. Grand Slam is going to be amazing. He also says First Dance, All Out, Grand Slam. They keep knocking it out of the park in the most important factor, making their big shows actually feel big. This is so true. This is so
true, man. I couldn't have said it any better.
And this week we're only 6 weeks away from Full Gear. That's the other amazing thing. We've had 3 of the biggest shows, after Grand Slam, we'll have probably 3 of the biggest shows in wrestling this entire century, and we're gonna be following that with Full Gear, which we might see Adam Page win his first world title.
I would love it. I would love to see that.
Big cowboy shit's happening. Anyway, moving on to our next match on the card. MJF taking on Brian Pillman. This has been a very, very hot feud between these two. MJF cutting scathing promos on Brian Pillman's entire family, calling his mother Methany, looking down as he to hell as he's talking about Brian Pillman's father, Brian Pillman Sr., the great late Brian Pillman Sr. Literally cut a promo on Dynamite on Brian Pillman Jr.'s pregnant sister and sent her into labor that night.
Yes.
MJF is the greatest heel to ever walk God's green earth. What do you think about the build to this match and Brian Pillman Jr. and his role in this?
So, you mentioned earlier about their matches before, so they're used to each other, and you like to see stuff like this, even though sometimes it's kind of hard to listen to because you're like, oh my God, like, did he really say that? Like, but you like to see stuff like this because they know each other. They know how far they can push and what they can do. With that being said, I, even as a little child, have never been guilty of just being like a fan of the hero. I've always liked the villain. I've always been like villains most of my life. And MJF is quite possibly the greatest heel, if not one of the greatest heels, if not the greatest heel I've ever seen. And I love his promos. I love the chemistry him and Brian Pillman Jr. have. I think it's amazing. If I was Brian Pillman, like knowing that they know each other, know they're friends or whatever, I don't know if I could keep a straight face while he's saying all this stuff. You know what I mean? Like, it would be very hard for me. But no, it's a great. I think it's a great build up. I think it's going to be an amazing match. Both wrestlers can go. It's one of the matches that I'm really looking forward to seeing, honestly.
This has been one of the most this has been one of the hottest things on Dynamite. Just MJF cutting promos and Brian Pillman. Brian Pillman is like a natural, like, you know, he's got that baby face fire. His promos, he's gonna get better. I'm glad they're giving him a little bit of a spot here to try to get better with his promos. Like,
because they're not terrible.
Look,
but
and also understand he's going up against MJF. If anyone expects Brian Pillman to right off the bat cut a good promo as MJF right now, it's like asking me right now, hey, yo, so I need you to go like, you know, outdraw Howard Stern on your podcast. That's not gonna happen. Or outdraw Joe Rogan on your podcast.
Right.
No, I'm not gonna out podcast Joe Rogan right now. But you know, so I think putting him in this spot is good because it kind of cements him as you know, a player in AEW, and he's someone who the fans want to get behind. He's someone who can work very well in the ring, very underrated worker in the ring, and someone who I think gets it. And once he puts it all together, I think he's gonna be money. This guy's gonna be real money in the near future, and he could be a future champion. I think that moment with Brian Pillman winning the TNT title or the AEW World, whatever it may be, I think that's going to be a big moment, and a lot of fans are going to genuinely like it because it's not just because of you know, the connection that he has with his father or that we have with his father, right? As fans, that plays a part into it. The other thing is we've seen his story now after the Dark Side of the Ring, and it's been told for the past 20 years. We know Brian Pillman Jr.'s story, what he had to go through as a kid, and we empathize with that, and we sympathize with him, and that's really made him into a very sympathetic figure. But I love what they're doing here. You know, I think there are times where for my taste, they went too far, but it's subjective. It is what it is. I don't think it was. If they both agreed to it, I think that's fine. But what do you think about this match? Who wins and why?
Like you said, I think Brian Pillman has shown how great of a worker he is, how hard he wrestles, and he just gets better. You know what I mean? And again, like with the whole promo thing, like, yeah, he's not going to be the greatest promo guy against MJF. Come on, MJF might possibly be one of the greatest promos in AEW. He's great. He's amazing on the mic. But yeah, I love his in-ring ability. I love both of those guys together. Honestly, if it's me, and it's gonna sound funny. I mean, you could go two ways with this. Honestly, I think you can give the match to Brian Pillman Jr. I mean, let him see on top since he is the face, and he is still coming up. But honestly, I still think he'll even in a loss, he'll still get the pop from the fans and still get the notoriety that he's looking for. So honestly, you can go either way. But I'm gonna go with MJF winning actually.
This is such a big match for Brian Pillman Jr. because he's never had this big stage in a one-on-one match to really showcase his ability, and this is gonna be a big thing for him. So I'm looking to see big things out of him. I'm looking to see him and what he can do. I'm gonna go with Brian Pillman Jr. as my official pick for this. And I think it's not only to have the good guy win and because I think AEW does a good job of giving the fans what they want.
Right.
I think they can do this where it actually helps build up MJF into something else and something bigger. I think what you do is you have Wardlow try to help MJF. Very similar to what he did at All Out in 2020 in the Jon Moxley world title match. Have Wardlow try to interfere on MJF's behalf, but indirectly cost him the match. And have Brian Pillman go over, he still gets the win, and MJF and you build that MJF Wardlow thing that they've been teasing more often than ever over the past few years. More and more. They're teasing it. Man. Yeah, so I think that's definitely a route that is in play for AEW. Everything that AEW does, it seems to matter. So I would think that they would want to build this thing with him and Wardlow up a little more, and they've done such a good job of doing it over the past 2 years. It is crazy, the subtle hints they throw in. But I'm picking Brian Pillman in a little bit of an upset here.
I mean, like I said, I honestly believe in go either way.
Yeah, absolutely. Sting and Darby Allin versus FTR, Cash Wheeler, and the other guy. The other guy. What do you think about this match? Sting and Darby Allin versus FTR.
Another great match, and we know AEW loves the tag teams, and I am thoroughly behind because I love tag teams too. But this is going to be a great one. I don't know really. I'll say Sting and Darby Allin. I'll say Sting and Darby Allin win this match, but I honestly believe is the build up for everything has been so good. Having Tully come out there and talk shit to Sting was awesome. The whole build up to the match has been good, fun and interesting to me. But I'll say Sting and Darby.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Sting and Darby as well. Actually, I think FTR they want to build them up into the world title picture or the tag team title.
That's
picture.
what I was thinking too, though.
But yeah. I'm gonna stick with Sting and Darby. I think Darby probably needs another win after that loss to Punk, and you can't have Sting. You can't have Sting lose. Just make me happy. All baby faces winning. Let's go with this. I got the baby faces winning here. Next, the dream match. The match that only comes once every 10,000 years. Arguably two of the greatest wrestlers to ever strap up a pair of boots. Two of the greatest wrestlers to ever step foot in the ring. Two of the greatest wrestlers of the past 10,000 years, as Don Callis likes to remind us. Kenny by God Omega versus the American Dragon, Bryan Danielson, is happening. And it is happening in an AEW ring. It is happening in front of 20,000 people in a packed Arthur Ashe Stadium. Trevor, what do you think of this match? And for anyone who might not know why this is such a big deal, why is this match such a big deal?
Okay, so they have only wrestled. Well, they've wrestled a few times, but one time that I know of in particular is ROH. It was the three-way match. It was Tyler Black. You guys know him as Seth Rollins, Bryan Danielson, and Kenny Omega. Amazing match, by the way. But both wrestlers have gotten so much better since then. Both wrestlers are arguably two of the best wrestlers in the world. Like, you got Kenny Omega that has gone all over that promotion that we won't mention, all over the world, different promotions, different countries. He has wrestled everywhere. Daniel Bryan, same way. The American Dragon has shown his ass in every country wrestling. Not like that.
Jesus, what? Shown his, oh my God.
But he's damn good, and so is Kenny Omega. And this is a match that wrestling fans have been wanting for a very, very long time. This match quite possibly could be today's, like, think of a big match back in the day. The Ultimate Warrior versus
Savage Steamboat. Savage Steamboat is a match that comes to mind.
I was thinking that one too. Yeah, Savage Steamboat, Savage Ric Flair. Like, I mean, I'm sorry, Ric Flair Steamboat. Like Sting and Ric Flair. Like, this is that caliber of match.
Absolutely, this is something that people in the wrestling community have wanted for a very long time. It is a dream match of epic proportions, and I could make the argument here that this might be the biggest dream match ever. Ignoring Stone Cold versus Hulk Hogan, which never happened, that probably would have been a bigger one. But in terms of in-ring performance, there's no bigger dream match. This is going to, and I know AEW, knowing these guys, they're going to go all out, pardon the pun, on this match. I'm expecting a hard-hitting, pay-per-view level performance from both of these people. This match could go to a time limit draw, a 30-minute draw, and I would love it. Kenny Omega could beat him clean, and I would love it. Bryan Danielson could win clean, and I would love it. There is nothing you can do wrong other than not use these two to their full potential throughout the entire match. And the fact that the title is not on the line is an amazing thing that AEW did, because one, it builds up Bryan as someone who doesn't just want the title. He wants to literally wrestle the best people on that roster. And also, it gives you the creative freedom to, if you wanted to put Bryan over, you could put Bryan over, no problem, because the title is not on the line. And I'm just so excited. This is going to be. I love Daniel Bryan. I love Bryan Danielson. He's my favorite wrestler of all time. Kenny Omega, in my opinion, might be the most spectacular worker in wrestling history. I can't put into words how excited I am for this match. But Trevor, who do you think is going to win and why?
This may be the toughest question you've ever asked me on this show. And to be honest, it really is, because, like, so you have so many opportunities here, right? You can put over Bryan, which Bryan is pretty much already over, right? And Kenny is Kenny Omega. So, like, who wins? I mean, there are so many different scenarios. Like, you have Bryan prove that he is superior, that he beats Kenny clean in the ring, 1, 2, 3. Then he has an argument for the belt. Or you have Kenny win, maybe not clean, maybe interference, and then Daniel also has a problem. Like, oh, you didn't beat me clean. Like, put the title on the line. You know, it's a bunch of things they can do with this. I'm gonna go for the obvious one. And say Daniel Bryan. But I don't think that's gonna be the. I don't necessarily think that I'm right, but I'm gonna say Daniel Bryan.
You are the most indecisive person I have ever met. It is so totally Bryan Danielson. The American Dragon is gonna kick Kenny Omega's fucking head in, and it is going to be glorious. Bryan Danielson is going to win this match, reclaim the throne of the King of the Indies, reclaim his throne as the King of Wrestling. He is Bryan by God Danielson, future world champion. Book it, brother.
We definitely have to cut your lips off his ass.
Whoa, no.
But no, I know he's your favorite wrestler, and he's a damn good one though. I can still remember this first time I saw him live. It was an indie match. It was in RH, but it was versus Roderick Strong.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. And ABB in the chat says, if Hangman is ready to come back here, I would love him to return and confront Kenny after the match. Yes,
that'd be great. That would be
huge,
great.
20,000 people chanting cowboy shit. ABB,
that's my boy. I like Hangman. That's
Who doesn't? Who doesn't? I'm not gonna get political here. There's a reason I really love Hangman Adam Page.
I think you told me this before, but
Anyway, moving on. What I think is going to be the main event, because right now the rumor is that the Omega Bryan Danielson match is going to kick off the show, and that's going to be with limited to no commercial interruptions to kick off the show. So that's going to bring in the most amount of people, and then the idea is to have Britt Baker, DMD versus Ruby Soho end the show, which I think is a great idea because one of the biggest TV shows in wrestling history, and you're going to have a women's match, a women's title match. End the show. That's a great idea, and there's no two better.
And this is the first time they've done this, right?
Well, Thunder Rosa and Britt Baker actually main evented back in like March, I believe.
That's right, but it wasn't a title match yet.
No, it was not. But Britt Baker versus Ruby Soho, AEW Women's World Title. Ruby Soho, of course, won the Casino Battle Royale to get this #1 contender spot. Trevor, build up to this match. What do you think about this match, and who wins?
One of the most underutilized wrestlers in WWE is Ruby Soho. They did not use her to her full potential. I mean, come on. She had a faction named after her. Like, she's amazing. If you've ever seen any of her body of work, no matter where you've seen her, you know what I'm talking about. She is an amazing athlete, amazing wrestler. She's great on the mic. Of course, but we know, you guys know how we feel about DMD here. We love Britt Baker here. Britt Baker's an amazing wrestler as well. And you talk about scathing promos. Sheesh. Whoo!
Ruby is like one of the first people to come in there and hold her own against DMD on those promos.
She really is. She's great on the mic. I like Thunder Rosa, but I don't think Thunder Rosa has the chops, the promo chops that Ruby does. And that's not saying anything bad about Thunder Rosa. I just think Ruby is better at promos. Like the whole thing about sleeping with someone in the back, that was amazing. And you saw Britt Baker try to choke back a smile.
Yeah, it's like, get your head out of Tony Khan's ass. That was a great line too.
But I mean, like, and that's what wrestling is about. That's what wrestling is always about. Two guys, two women, two athletes in the ring having fun. And that's why pro wrestling has been at its peak so recently, because people are having fun again. But with all that being said, I wish I could say Ruby Soho wins, but Britt Baker.
Yeah, the DMD is going to win this match, but Ruby Soho, this is going to be a showcase performance for both of them. It's going to be a showcase performance for Ruby Soho. We're going to get to see the uncut, unhinged version of Ruby that we didn't get to see in WWE. A lot of people are excited to see what she can do in this one-on-one capacity. Her and Thunder Rosa had an amazing exchange at the end of that Casino Battle Royale match, and I'm of the opinion that this could be the match that steals the show. Because we already know, we're expecting great things out of Omega Bryan. We're expecting, big things out of the Malachi Black and Cody match. And we're expecting big things here. But this is a match that I think a lot of people might be sleeping on. And I think these are two people, especially Ruby, has a massive chip on her shoulder. She's looking to prove a lot of doubters in WWE and elsewhere wrong. And I think she's going to do it. I'm very much excited for this match. Baker is going to win, though.
Yeah, Ruby's going to have a showcase. They're going to show Ruby off. Ruby will be champion at some point, mark my words. But she is definitely going to showcase her abilities, and everyone in ever doubted her is going to eat their words.
Absolutely. We'll get to your questions in the chat in just a second, guys. Before we do, though, please be sure to hit that like button, subscribe, hit that notification bell so you get notified whenever a new video is released. Let's move on. Oh, actually, wait. Chats. Because we have a few from IBB. IBB says, MJF is one of those characters that doesn't necessarily need the title in the sense that he is now already at the point where he himself is the base for stories. That is true.
That's true. Very true.
Yep. Trust him to get face over. Absolutely. He does a great job of it. Look at the Brian Pillman thing. Everyone and their mother are rooting for Brian Pillman in this because MJF is such a dick. That's makes it great. thankful for Fight. He's talking about Fight TV. No ads. Not missing a second of this match. I really want Kenny to win. I think it'll just give him such a huge accomplishment to beat Bryan here. I think it'll be a draw. Want Kenny. Hey, I want this match to happen. And it's going to happen in less than 24 hours away from Friday versus Kenny Omega. Oh my God.
Amazing match.
He goes on to say, I love this Ruby Soho. I think what really stands out is she is so genuine while still having that edge. Absolutely. It's hard to master both. Absolutely. I think she's done a great job of mastering, still having that edge. I think her look also helps her out in that, and she just feels real. That's the thing. She feels real. It feels like I'm not watching just Ruby Soho. I'm watching the real person behind the character as well.
Yep.
Last thing ABB says here, the only thing I don't like about her is the finisher. I've always hated the particular drop down pulling on the arm into a kick. Yeah, it's not great.
Yeah,
whenever anyone does it, IDK, what do you both think of the move? There's probably better moves out there. Yeah. Look, it's better than the Kizarny roll-up that he used to do. I don't know if you guys remember Kizarny from back in SmackDown 2011. Google that, kids. This dude, literally for his finishing move, he would take the opponent in a double arm DDT position and just do a front roll with him. No impact.
Yeah,
no dropping, nothing.
No.
And then cover him. Not roll him up, cover him. 1, 2, like... It was such a weird finishing move, but
yeah, I've seen some terrible ones. I mean, it's not bad. It could be something better, but it's not bad.
Yeah, you know what's not bad?
Let me guess.
Come on, you know it.
I want to spill your pop. Go ahead. Liking, subscribing.
Hitting that notification bell so you get notified whenever new videos reach. I was just waiting for you to say. I was very adamant. We could have been sitting here for the next 2 hours, and I would have been. I know.
I figured that. I was like, he wants me to say it.
Oh Jesus! ABB is googling Kizarny. Oh my God! It is. Kizarny is one of the greatest gimmicks ever to like. It is amazing. I'm a mark. He's in my boys stable, by the way, for Kizarny. Anyway, let's get another person who is in my forever Hall of Fame stable is the one and only, the King of Hearts, Owen Hart. AEW and the Owen Hart Foundation have entered into a relationship to, quote, honor Owen's legacy for the late, great Owen Hart. And part of this promotion, part of this collaboration will feature an Owen Hart Cup tournament, and this is going to be an annual tournament. This is going to be launched by AEW, and the winner will receive a cup, a trophy that is going to be called the Owen, which I think is amazing. I love that. Original Owen Hart merchandise will also be produced and distributed by AEW, including Owen Hart action figures. Owen Hart will be a part of an upcoming AEW console video game as a playable character. Oh, that is amazing. The Owen Hart Foundation has been spearheaded by Owen Hart's widow, Dr. Martha Hart. The foundation has a mission of, quote, providing global aid to at-risk communities. AEW President Tony Khan said AEW's relationship with the Hart family dates back to the inaugural pay-per-view event, Double or Nothing 2019, and Owen's influence is still felt today to the extent his memory and his legacy even further through this agreement is a powerful and meaningful moment to the entire wrestling community. Absolutely it is. Trevor, Owen Hart, his legacy is back in wrestling, and it's in AEW. We'll talk about the AEW thing in just a second, but how good is it? You're a huge Owen Hart fan. How good is it to have Owen's name return to the world of professional wrestling?
I gotta be honest, and I know it sounds a little cliche, but not many things in wrestling tug at the heartstrings, but this kind of did. As you said, I'm a huge Owen Hart fan. I grew up watching Owen. I grew up liking Owen. Owen was my favorite Hart. Bret Hart was shown more on TV, but Owen was always my favorite. I was that kid that had that argument for like 2 hours with the kids in the school are like, who's better? Owen, hands down. Like, that was me. And like, just to see his legacy live on, and to see Martha Hart like get a little bit of justice. You know what I mean? That she feels that she deserves is amazing. And best believe I will be getting Owen Hart action figures, and I will be showing it on the channel. I will be getting T-shirts. You will see it. Like I'm excited. I think this is a great thing for the Owen Foundation, a great thing from Martha and her children. I'm happy.
It is truly like it's one of those moments where you're happy. You're just so happy to hear about it, and think about what this means. Like this is just. Well, not only are we gonna get an Owen Hart Cup, which is amazing. It's a great way to honor his professional wrestling legacy. We're going to get an Owen Hart in a video game, like for the first time ever, basically.
Well,
and well, the first time where video games are actually amazing. Like, come on. First time in the 20th century, we're going to get this.
Yeah. I mean, the only other one he was on was Raw as War, and it was terrible.
Yeah, that's terrible. But in a good video game, hopefully. And I'll also compound that with the fact that Martha Hart gets to carry on his legacy even more by having AEW promote the Owen Hart Foundation and I'm assuming proceeds of this are going to go definitely to the Owen Hart Foundation. And Tony Khan, I know he has a great relationship with various charities, and he genuinely does a lot of this stuff from the goodness of his heart. And I think that's the key to it. Martha Hart definitely trusts that this is an organization that will not only get the message of the Owen Hart Foundation out, not only honor Owen Hart's legacy, but also honor what his legacy is today. Because Owen Hart's legacy today isn't just of one of the greatest wrestlers ever. His legacy today is the work that his widow and his kids do with his foundation by helping at-risk communities, by feeding the poor and all the good things that they do. So it's bigger than wrestling, which I think a lot of people lose sight of, and we'll talk about some of those people in just a minute. But this is one of those things that should be just something that brings everyone together, that everyone can be happy about, and Martha even talked about it. I'm paraphrasing something in her statement, but she has always said that she understands why the fans are frustrated by the fact that that Owen isn't in professional wrestling, or his legacy isn't in professional wrestling. But we as fans also need to remember that he was never going to be in a WWE setting. He never should be honored, quote unquote, in a WWE setting again after what happened. And if you don't believe me, go watch that Dark Side of the Ring. And Trevor, there are apparently some people who don't believe me because there are a lot of people that don't believe you. There are a lot of people online who are legitimately angry because he's being honored in AEW instead of WWE, and they're saying terrible things about Martha Hart. And it's very classless, and it's honestly one of the worst parts of the pro wrestling fan base.
I was on a link today where reading this and also seeing a lot of the comments, and like I mean, of course I can believe it. I've been online. I've been a fan of wrestling. There are people that just want to see the world burn, honestly, and great things like this are nothing compared to in their heads. But like one person saying, "Oh, his legacy should be in WWE," you're just selling out. That's not selling out. That his legacy should never be in WWE, and Martha Hart should always be in charge of her late husband's legacy, because we won't get into that, but she and her children should definitely be in charge of where his legacy goes and what happens to his legacy. And regardless of what anyone says, and I'm not going to say it again, Owen Hart should never be in the Hall of Fame. And the reason he is not in the Hall of Fame has nothing to do with money, has nothing to do with Martha Hart being a horrible person or anything like that. It has something to do with the fact that Owen Hart was an amazing human being. It was not cherished the way he should have been cherished. He was only cherished for money. And the reason they want him in WWE Hall of Fame is bullshit and bogus. And
they want to sell merch. They want to do what
exactly. That's it. It's all about money. It's bogus. It's bullshit. And like the reason he's not in there is a great reason. And you need to leave the Hart family alone and honor the fact that Martha is doing a great thing by her husband.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And it's just, I can't wait for the cup. I can't wait for the merchandise. It's going to be great. It is
Oh, it's
just
gonna be awesome. It's gonna be
gonna be
so
amazing.
awesome.
Yeah.
Have you seen some of the specs for the action figure?
Not the action figure, but I've seen some of the merch.
Like for the action figure, they actually have like over, I think it's like what, 15 different hands for him to like, for you to interchange different hands and stuff.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, it's really articulated. It's pretty cool.
That's cool. And related to this, IBB in the chat says always watch the documentaries and vids about Owen, but never watched a full match of his until last night. That Mania match versus Brett was absolutely fantastic.
Amazing.
Oh, one of the best wrestling matches of all time. What I think probably his best match, but there's a bunch of great ones. He's looking for recommendations, so I would recommend. He had a match with Shawn Michaels. But it was
in your house, right?
Rage in a Cage. In your house, Rage in a Cage. 90. I don't remember what year it was. 96, 97. That time around.
I want to say it was right before he won the belt, right?
I'm not sure. I just remember that pay-per-view. But In Your House, Rage in the Cage, Owen Hart versus Shawn Michaels is a great match. He had a match on Raw in 1997 with Davey Boy Smith. That was a really underrated match. You could always watch the King of the Ring tournament in 1994. Only
Amazing
Owens
match.
matches,
Yeah.
and you'll get like his whole thing.
Yeah, some great matches with members of DX. He's had some great matches with another great match he had was with actually Steve Austin. You want to check out his Dan Severn match?
That's a good one.
Ken Shamrock. Those are the other two good ones.
You could do all that. Check out. I mean, look, and even some of the best stuff that Owen did. Also, like he did great matches, but he some of the best stuff he did was also like just promos and the feud that he had with Brett in 1994 into 95. Oh my, one of the best
Those
things.
promos were amazing. And I always thought he was better at promos.
Oh my god! Except for the moment where he's just like, "Yeah, Brett, I kicked your leg out of your leg." Owen, come on now.
Owen,
you can do better.
What the hell, Owen? What's going on?
Yeah, no. I mean, there's a bunch of them. But yeah, like cage match. This is the last one I'll say. Cage match with Bret Hart and Owen Hart at SummerSlam '94. It was right after their Mania match. That was also a good one.
Watch a lot of his tag team work with David Boy Smith.
Watch everything. But I would start with, since you already watched the '94 Mania match, watch the SummerSlam match, the follow up. It's a cage match, and then go to the Shawn Michaels match at In Your House, Rage in a Cage, and then kind of snowball from there. Go lose yourself.
Do they still have his matches on Peacock? Because I couldn't find his matches on WWE the channel.
They're there. Yeah, they were always there. Yeah, they're always there. But the only thing that's not is his appearance they cut the entire Over the Edge pay-per-view from the Peacock.
Yeah, they definitely should.
Yeah, and so that's a thing. But Owen Hart, man, the King of Hearts, finally getting honored. We love it.
Yeah, I enjoy this. This actually, I text when I found out about it. I texted you right away. I was like, "Oh, this is awesome."
Yeah, this is awesome. Legitimately, this is awesome. Anyway, let's keep it going. Do we have anything else? Oh yeah, we definitely have something else. We'll save that for last. We'll do one more big segment here as I pull up my handy dandy graphics. In the meantime, be sure to hit that like button, subscribe, hit that notification bell so you get notified whenever new video is released. We fight on Friday nights, Michael. AEW versus WWE. We are my new favorite thing to talk about because everyone on the internet loves to talk about it. So AEW is going to be running Grand Slam in New York. WWE just ran in Madison Square Garden, and it looks like there's a little bit of a contention between these two in the New York market. So both AEW and WWE are going to be running the brand new UBS Arena in Belmont, New York. That's in Long Island. It's a brand new arena, about anywhere between 10,000 to I believe 18,000 seats. So it's got a considerable amount of seats. Right now, I have an update as far as ticket sales for both of these events. WWE is running before AEW, right? They are running the UBS Arena in Belmont, Texas, at Belmont Park in Long Island on November 29th. So they're running on November 29th. AEW is running on December 8th. So these are within like basically a week and a half of each other. Two big wrestling shows. They're running Raw there on November 29th. Right now, the estimated capacity is 7,398 according to WrestleTix, and right now they've only sold 2,450 tickets. That's 33% sellout. Comparatively to AEW, who's running the same arena just a week later, AEW, out of an estimated capacity of 8,851, that's more, about over 1,000 more than Raw has right now. They've sold 6,167 tickets. So 70% of their tickets are sold out for that show. They're probably going to open up some more seats later because this is like 3 months in advance. So they're definitely going to open up more seats. They're going to sell out fairly soon. So think about that. Right now, same arena, within a week of each other, AEW has sold out 70% of the tickets while having more seats available than Raw has. And Raw's only sold 2,450 tickets, according to WrestleTix. Trevor, what do you take away from this? What's the big takeaway from this this apparent big win for AEW in the New York market?
AEW is the hotter ticket right now. I mean, it's the hotter product. You know, it's what people want to see. It makes sense, right? Like, I mean, they're doing everything right. I mean, they're doing a lot wrong too. Don't get me wrong. We're not just jumping on the hype train for AEW. We talk about the wrong things they do as well. But they're doing a lot right at the moment. They're pushing the right wrestlers. They're pushing the right product. They're marketing to the right demographic. They're doing everything right. Now, what's to say that WWE won't, come back and maybe be a little, and maybe outsell them, in the long run? We don't know. But right now, AEW's a hotter ticket. They're doing the right things. Of course, they're gonna sell out before WWE because they're the new kid on the block.
Yeah. I think this is a big deal for AEW, more so than WWE. WWE ticket sales have been kind of stagnant like this. They're gonna do something. They're gonna get Brock Lesnar on the show or whatever. They'll hot shot something and put something together. But AEW to sell out this quickly because it's December, we have no idea what's gonna be going on in December as fans. Really, like we have guesses, but the fact that they were able to sell out 70% of their estimated tickets or estimated capacity is a huge deal, and it shows you exactly what you said. This is a hotter ticket. This is a hotter product as far as the people who want to spend money on wrestling. And man, like AEW's they're already running Chicago again, and they announced for the Wintrust Arena, and they're already sold out now within like about a week and a half of announcing it. So they are just hot in all of the places that you would think WWE would be, but they basically taken over Chicago at this point. They are making a huge foothold, and this proves it in the New York market. And I think that the longer this goes on, we might see more of this because people know that Raw is going to be a flat product, and maybe people just don't want to go to those shows, and then they're not willing to spend that money this much in advance until they see what they're offered, as opposed to AEW where they're just like, oh, that's going to be a great show. Oh, Dynamite's coming? It's like seeing the Rolling Stones come to town. Like, let's go.
Right, But it's going to be fun to watch what happens because, like I said, again, we don't know what's happening.
You should put that on a shirt. It's going to be fun to watch, Michael. I'm going to put that on a shirt for you. You just love to say that, don't you? Okay, fair enough. Related to this, ABB in the chat says, I can definitely see this Long Island show in December ending up being this year's Winter is Coming show. By the way, WrestleTix has been such a great account to follow. Yes, go follow them at WrestleTix on Twitter, patreon.com/WrestleTix. They do a wonderful job over there at providing ticket information for wrestling, and amazing job at making everyone on the internet angry. I love it though. I love it though. So big ups to WrestleTix for that. Yeah. So Ryan also says, "Hi, bro. Have you played the new Madden?" I have not played the new Madden, Ryan, and I don't know what the franchise mode is, but I'm assuming it's going to be the same thing as it was the past 15
Pretty
years.
much, it's the same thing.
Who are the Broncos playing this week? I believe the Chiefs. But yeah, this is a big deal for AEW. I love how I just made that transition from wrestling to NFL to wrestling again. But yeah, it's going to be a big deal for AEW. Big deal.
Fun to watch.
Yep. Hashtag trade Ben Simmons. If you guys want to hear more about the trade for Ben Simmons, you guys should totally check out Real Take Sports Talk tomorrow night right here on the YouTube channel. We're going to be talking about Ben Simmons, talking about the NFL, talking about the latest news from the wonderful world of sports. So check that out. Hit that like button, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you get notified whenever that live stream happens. It's going to happen tomorrow night, probably 6 p.m. around then. Just so I can get in time to watch AEW Grand Slam.
Of course.
So, yeah. Absolutely. So, yeah. Anyway, let's move on and talk about our final topic for today, and that is Dark Side of the Ring, which made its return to Vice this past week, and boy, did it return. So...
Yeah.
Dark Side of the Ring returned with an episode chronicling the events that took place on the infamous plane ride from hell in 2002. It's an event that many people kind of look back on as one of those wild party stories from when the boys were boys and all that kind of stuff. And this, a lot of people, I think, going into this, Trevor, went into this, thinking this is going to be a very similar episode to or at least I thought it was going to be similar to the Collision in Korea episode, where it's just going to be like a story about this one event that was really weird and crazy, but it's going to be mostly, I thought it was going to be funny. I'm not going to lie to you. Because this is also something that I didn't know too much about, honestly. This is one of those things I never really took interest in outside of like, oh, it's a funny story or whatever, but because that's all you're told about. That was the whole narrative behind it before this documentary. So I didn't really know much about what happened, but man, oh man. If you watch this, if you went into this expecting something lighthearted and a crazy party story, it was not that. This was one of the most consequential, I think, documentaries in pro wrestling history, and it's going to go down as such. There's so much to talk about here, Trevor. We'll get into all the main parts of this, but what's your takeaways from this documentary?
I was the same way when going into this. Like, I knew of it, but I didn't know enough of it to actually give it a fair shake or actually comment on it. But knowing what I know now, that's wow. it makes me see some people in a different light. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. So the reason why this became such a thing and people are talking about it so much are because of some of the actions of the people on the plane and the allegations of sexual assault from one of the airline stewardesses on the plane, one of the flight attendants rather on the plane. Her name is Heidi Doyle, and this was so interesting. And this is the different perspective that Dark Side of the Ring provides, because it's not only wrestling. It portrayed this entire thing from the perspective of, you're a flight attendant there. You're someone who's outside of the world of wrestling. And Heidi Doyle's entire journey, her entire experience on there is something completely different than what fans are told about this story, because we're told it was a lighthearted, fun trip, that things got wild on a plane, people's hair got cut. Yeah, that happened, but Heidi Doyle chronicles several different incidents, most notably when she was cornered by Ric Flair, who was running around the plane only wearing his robe with Space Mountain out and about, and he forced her in a corner, and then he forced her to touch him, which, it's terrible. Just a terrible thing. There's another incident that she noted where Scott Hall licked her face and ripped buttons off of her shirt, which is, again, very disgusting. Scott Hall was there and drunk. They talked about this thing that the boys used to do, where they used to put Halcyon, which is like basically a it's like roofies essentially. It's something to put in someone's drink and they pass out. And that was like a rib that they were putting on the boys. And RVD, the way he talked about it, this was so interesting. You could hear the almost sense of hesitation in RVD's voice when he was talking about it. But I'm sorry, I'm getting a little jumbled here. There's so much to talk about, but let's stick to Heidi Doyle. So what did you make of the allegations and the perspective that Heidi Doyle provided in this episode?
It was interesting. It was a different take, on what was going on, because like you say, like Dark Side of the Ring does a great job of like showing different perspectives. And hers was that of kind of like at first like an on watcher, like what's going on, and like kind of serving these people and just looking, being an observation about what's going on. But then she became a victim, technically, because of what happened with her, Ric Flair, and other accounts, and you saw how it still affected her to this day, how she was talking about it. But I felt bad for her, and apparently, further research, there was a lawsuit involving her and another stewardess, flight attendant. So it's just sad. It's one of those things where, I mean, it kind of pissed me off a little bit the way Tommy Dreamer kind of made it seem.
Yeah, and we'll talk about
it.
Yeah, we'll talk about Tommy Dreamer. That's another big issue with this. But
we'll get into that. But honestly, from what I found out, it was interesting, not in a good way, but yeah, it was interesting.
But it's a documentary, and I liken it to the Chris Benoit documentary. It's a documentary that I think all wrestling fans need to watch.
Oh, absolutely.
Because it shows you. There's this old adage, you never want to meet your heroes because you're not going to like who they actually are. It shows you in the light of the real world what the boys and what the toxic mentality in the locker room was. Yep. And it was a place where flipping your dick around and forcing it upon people was normal. We're slipping Halcyon and H-bombing people and having them pass out and having a laugh at that expense was normal. Things that today we look at as terror, as oh my god, like you don't even need to tell anyone those things are bad. It's automatically known that they're bad, but you had to back then. It shows you how toxic that was. That's why I get pissed off when big respect to Undertaker as far as what he's done as a wrestler, right? That's why I get pissed off when people like him and all these other old heads go on TV. Go on podcasts and say, oh, well, back in the day when WWE, when men were men, when the boys are soft now, the wrestlers are soft now. Back in my day, they'd be out in getting drunk and all that stuff. And I'm just like, dude, so you're telling me you would rather have these people out there partying, doing drugs, literally poisoning their bodies, getting into fights, getting arrested, doing terrible things to women, instead of being backstage playing video games and having fun and doing things that are not only constructive, productive, but also helpful for their mental health? You're telling me that toxic ass environment in the locker room that existed for decades, where people were abusing drugs because they didn't have health care, they were in pain, and they didn't know how to medicate it because they were abusing drugs and doing all this terrible shit, is somehow better than what we're doing now, and that people now are worse off because they're not getting the boys. And what was the boys? The boys doesn't exist. The boys was a construct invented so that people like Undertaker could get free beer from Wrestler's Court when he wanted to. So that people like Undertaker, people like Ric Flair, people like Ric Flair could do the things that he did. That honestly, no one is surprised. That's the one thing I think. I've talked to several people about this. All of the events that were portrayed on this, I don't think there's a single person who's paid attention to wrestling or knows Ric Flair, knows who knows wrestling, who was surprised by anything that was said in this at all. No one was surprised. And that shows you how protected, how there's a veil. There's a veil of celebrity. There's a veil of us as fans, things we don't want to see. But documentaries like this, that's why they're so important. They show us, and they show it to us in the most upfront and blunt way, because we need to see it. We needed to hear the story, because I will never want to hear again from people who were in the Attitude Era that, oh my God, well, these kids these days, they don't know what the boys is. I don't want to hear that shit anymore.
Unfortunately, you're gonna keep hearing it, because there are people that celebrate toxic behavior, that make toxic behavior a thing. And with the whole quote unquote boys bullshit, that toxic behavior was a way of them coping with the pain, like you said, and a way of them letting their hair down.
Also abusing their power.
Yeah, exactly. Abusing their power. Like, when in hindsight and in actuality, it was a bunch of bullshit. That, like you said, they were just bullies that were rich and that were abusing their power.
Yeah.
And that's it in a nutshell.
Yeah. And we'll get to Ric Flair and the kind of the fallout from this, but the interesting thing to take away was also Jim Ross's role. Jim Ross was on here talking about how he never wanted to talk about this again. You could sense everyone who came up and talked about this, for one reason or another, other than Tommy Dreamer, really, there was a sense of shame when discussing this issue. Especially RVD, you could tell he was. I don't know whether it was regret or him like talking about this and just it was. You could sense that. You could sense it with JR. He just did not want to talk about this. But
even Justin Credible was put off a bit by talking about it. I forgot
because I think it's because they know what happened was wrong. They know it was wrong. They know it was scummy, and they know what it's going to look like when it comes out. Because there's no sugarcoating it. We've been sugarcoating it for the past 20 years by ignoring the truth that Ric Flair, people saw it. Rob Van Dam even witnessed it. Forced a woman to touch his private parts, and that's reality. And like, look. I was talking about Jim Ross's role. The importance of Jim Ross's role here too is that he talked about how afterwards, and this kind of goes to the idea of protecting like these athletes, these abusers. He talked about how afterwards they fired Scott Hall because he was a drunk mess, right? And people thought he was legitimately dead. So they fired him. They fined Dustin Rhodes, who had his own very bad issues on the plane. And Ric Flair, when he was asked about Ric Flair, you know what he said, Trevor? He said, what happened to Ric Flair? It's like, nothing. It's like, why? Because he's a made man. And that's the truth that we all know. He's too big. When someone's too big to fail, when someone's too big and protected, nothing they do is going to bring them down. And this is about accountability, not only for people like Ric Flair, and not even for people in wrestling, but people in our society, powerful people, especially in our society, who've gotten away with this for too long, and we got to prove that it's not something that's going to be tolerated anymore. Yeah,
it was, and you could see when he got on the Flair subject that he was not happy to talk about it, not even happy what happened with it. I feel bad for Jim Ross in a few certain situations, but especially this one, because you could really see that this is not something that he wanted to be part of, not something that he even wanted to do. It just, it was bad. He felt bad for it too.
Well, I feel the most bad for the flight attendants, all of them, including Heidi and Doyle, who was on there. But I mean, for Jim Ross, what I will say is, if this was only on JR, if I understand JR not having control of that locker room, even though that's his job. It's no one's going to have control over it other than one guy. And that one guy, there's conflicting reports about whether he was or was not on the plane, but let's go with what the documentary says, and he was. If Vince McMahon is on that plane and there's people getting into fights, there's people vomiting, there's people forcing themselves on the flight attendants, and Vince McMahon is sitting there knowing what's happening in the back, having JR go back every 5 minutes, knowing that that's all happening. You're telling me that Vince McMahon just sat there and didn't do anything? Yeah. Like, That's preposterous. He's the one guy in the world who could have put a stop to all that nonsense. He could have put a stop to these people acting like children, and he didn't do it, assuming he was on there.
Like, I mean, all the reports say, like you said, it's conflicting accounts. He was there with his wife. He wasn't there. So, like, but I'm going to go, like you said, with what I've heard on Doc Stein in the Ring, that he was there. But, like you said, if he was there with his wife, with Linda McMahon, and all of this was going, because he wasn't that far away, he was just in the front of the plane. Like, all this shit was going on, and he did absolutely nothing. Drug use. Like, you heard Doyle say that it was needles on the fucking plane when they left. Like, there was definite drug use. And you're not doing anything. They're harassing the ladies. They're throwing up each other. They're roofing each other. They're cutting people's hair off. They're fighting. Like, and you're doing absolutely nothing.
And it's leadership. It's a failure of leadership. I'll say JR definitely failed, but Vince McMahon failed way more because he's the guy. He's the one guy who could have stopped this entire culture. But over time, we've heard this too. Vince likes it when the boys are kind of at each other's throats. He likes this type of thing. So in a way, he kind of enabled some of this mentality. That's why you had Brock Lesnar and Mr. Perfect fighting on the plane, almost breaking through the wall of the plane. It's childish behavior, and there's a lot more childish behavior. One person who really came off looking bad in this, and we'll go back to Ric Flair because he probably came off the worst in this. But the probably second to him in this is Tommy Dreamer, because Tommy Dreamer was asked about this, and he came off very defensive of Ric Flair, and he said some very, very cliche tropes about abuse. He compared the sexual assault to people being offended at his ponytail.
Yeah.
At one point, and he asked, "Well, why didn't she go to the police?" Which is another trope, another shitty trope. He's been suspended from Impact Wrestling indefinitely because of these comments. Busted Open Radio also said he won't be on for a while. Yep. Dreamer did release a statement where he apologized for his comments. But what did you make of Dreamer's comments, and kind of what does this tell us about the mentality? I think his comments specifically were kind of a look into the mentality of the old guard. So what did you make of them?
Absolutely. I think you said it best. Like his mentality is the boys, the boys, on nothing but the boys this, the boys that. That he came up about that in that era, and it pretty much was an old guard comment, like protecting his own and protecting himself. Like I honestly believe he didn't see anything wrong with it. I really don't. I really don't believe he actually saw anything wrong with it at the time. And I honestly believe he was just speaking what he thought. To me, he doesn't believe shit stinks. Like when they were talking about when they were fighting going up against the door. He goes, "Oh, you really mean to say that they're gonna break through the door? They're not gonna break through the door." Like, how do you know that? Like, you don't know that. Like, you're speaking off of just assumptions and opinions that you have. Then they asked him about the Ric Flair thing. Like you said, I won't go into everything he said, but he pretty much covered it up, saying, "Oh, that you honestly gonna sit there and say Ric Flair's not the type of guy to do this, that, and the third." Like, come on, you're just covering your ass and everyone else's ass that was involved. Like, but it's okay to speak out on the truth. Stop being a dickhead and covering this shit up. The boys' lore is done. It's dead. It's not the same anymore. And if it was the same, there'd be half of these so-called unquote unquote boys will be fucking dead, because it's a different mentality nowadays. It's a different day and age.
It's a better mentality.
Exactly. The shit ain't gonna fly like it used to back then, and people ain't gonna be quiet either.
The world champion is Big E, a dude who likes to dance and play video games. I love that because it's a lot better.
You know
it's a lot better than someone going out and getting drunk because he's in pain or popping pain pills and the like. It's terrible. But yeah, I fully agree with you. Tommy Dreamer, he came off as dumb. I'm not gonna lie to you. For multiple reasons, he came off as dumb. Because on one hand, his entire train of thought in this is completely unethical, immoral, and lacking any empathy for the victim, who is Heidi Doyle. And on the other hand, even if he believed this stuff, did he really think, comparing the fact that someone would be upset about a sexual assault to his ponytail, did he really think that would come across? How do you think that's going to come across? That's going to come across bad. Even if you don't believe in these snowflake millennials, if you're one of those people, you know the response you're going to get. Why would you say it regardless? It's dumb on multiple different counts, and it shows you how little he really thinks about things before he says it. I lost a lot of respect, I'm not going to lie. I lost respect for Ric Flair. I lost respect for Brock Lesnar. I lost respect for WWE as a company. I lost a lot of respect, too, for Tommy Dreamer, because he came across as someone who doesn't see the problem here. And if you don't see the problem, you are enabling the problem. Because what did he do? He came out and he defended Ric Flair on the show that was supposed to really shine a light on what he is. And in doing so, he shined a light on why the business is better now than it was 20 years ago.
You know, somebody who kind of stepped up is one Dustin Reynolds, because he's the one.
No, he also did some things on that plane that weren't in the documentary. That were.
Oh yeah. You're absolutely right. Yeah, right. But he also pulled Ric Flair away from the woman too. Pulled the woman away from Ric Flair. But other than that, like, he did some questionable things.
Yeah, it's just terrible. The other thing that we learned out of this was that Ric Flair, after this, he kind of got some fallout from this. His car shield commercial that he was in, that got pulled. The AEW, like, he was supposed to be doing a run with AEW. That's what a lot of people assumed. He was going to be Andrade's manager. He was going to come in and do that. That's not going to happen now, I promise you. Tony Khan's, that is nuclear heat with Tony Khan. It should be nuclear heat with everybody, but I could totally see him coming back to WWE or something in a few years. Like, it's a sad thing to say, but that's just how things work. Because it just seems like, oh, well, time heals all wounds. And I'm like one of these people who is like big on forgiveness. And I think time heals a lot of wounds, right? And thinking and learning from your mistakes heals a lot of wounds. This ain't one of those things, I think, though. This is not one of those things you just, take some time off and you'll be good. No. This is something bigger with Ric Flair. Because we know that this happened. The fact that there are multiple cartoon skits about him exposing himself to flight attendants that are from apparently things other than, there's another one that has nothing to do with the plane ride from hell. There's another one. So he's done this multiple times, and who knows to how many people he's done this outside of being on a plane. It's a pattern of behavior, and this is what happens when you give powerful people and irresponsible people so much power. Ric Flair did release a statement. Every person that I've worked with, from my lawyer to my publicist to my wife, has said not to post a response, but I've never run from past behaviors before, and I'm not going to start now. I want to clarify a few things. About 4 years ago, I gave ESPN full access to my life for a 30 for 30 special. They covered taxes, financial issues, adultery, divorces, the passing of my child, drinking, partying at length. Rory Kampf, who desperate to matter for another 15 minutes, did an interview this morning. When Rory's lips are moving, he's typically lying, but one part of what he said was God's honest truth. He said, quote, "I'd never heard that he had forced someone to touch his genital," said Kampf. Everything with Ric Flair that was construed as a negative, I tried to address in a 30 for 30. His drinking, his philandering, his adultery, his money problems. There's quite a bit, but never, at least in the people that I spoke to, no one ever brought up that he would force himself on somebody. Ric Flair goes on to say, "I allowed my personal life and the lives of my wife and children to be turned upside down for one reason. Whether it's good or bad, even really bad, the truth has to matter, even in wrestling. My issues have been well documented in my 40-plus year career. The impact of drinking too much, which nearly killed me 5 years ago, has been told time after time. The reason Rory or anyone else, for that matter, never heard these stories of me forcing myself on anyone is simple. It never happened. So he denied that it ever happened, and he also talked about his problems with drinking. But again, this is not something that I think is really too debatable.
Yeah.
Because considering RVD witnessed it, Dustin Rhodes apparently also witnessed it. It's something that totally happened. And the other thing is, I don't think that Ric Flair really understands maybe the perspective of someone like Heidi Doyle, who, remember, Heidi Doyle had a family.
Yeah.
She was on this trip to make some extra money for her child, for her daughter. And when she came back, the one thing on her mind wasn't her daughter. The one thing on her mind wasn't her family. It was, how do I explain what happened to my husband? And how do I deal with him telling me, well, what did you do to enable that? That's what she was thinking about. That's what she had to deal with. It wasn't just the physical moment of what happened. It's the emotional scarring, the emotional toll that takes on a person. And our society, even in wrestling, needs to start having conversations about this. That's why the speaking out movement is so important. That's why documentaries like this that shed the light of pro wrestling from the perspective of real people, because it's a work, man. It is a work. We love wrestling, but it's a work. It's not real. And we need to start really looking at the history of wrestling in a different way.
Definitely.
Trevor, anything else on this?
Nothing. I think we beat this horse to death.
Absolutely. Well, next week they're going to be doing a Dark Side of the Ring on the life and career of Chris Kanyon,
which is another rough one to talk about.
Another rough one, but also another important one, because Chris Kanyon's story has never really been told. Like, if you followed him or followed wrestling, you probably know something about it, but you don't know the full story. And Chris Kanyon, for those who might not know, he was one of the he was an active wrestler in the 90s and the early 2000s, and he was gay, and he had to hide that. That took a large toll on his mental health, and he ended up dying very early. And but definitely check that episode out. It's going to be a good one.
Chris Kanyon was an amazing in-ring performer. I loved Chris Kanyon. I liked his work with him in Dominic's Page. It's going to be an interesting one. It's going to be a sad one, a rough one, but it's going to be interesting to see.
Yeah, let's go to the chat real quick and finish these up. Guys, if you have any final questions, final takes, final questions, guys, please hit it up in the chat as we are about to end this show. And if you haven't already, please hit that like button, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you get notified whenever a new video is released. All right. So let's go to the chat. Okay, so CC is defending this as, you guys, this is a wrestling chat. Just saying to all the people who are asking questions about the NFL and sports. Thank you, CC. ABB in the chat says, I'm so glad that I'm a fan at this current time in wrestling. Yes, there are still problems, especially speaking out last year, but nowhere near the majority like it was in the 90s. It was really,
it was rough in the 90s, man.
It was rough in the 90s, rough in the 80s. We don't even know what happened. Go watch the Fabulous Moolah documentary. The Fabulous Moolah 30 for 30.
Did you finally watch that one?
Which one?
The Dark Side of the Ring with Fabulous Moolah.
Oh, I've seen every Dark Side of the Ring.
Okay, yeah. So because I remember one time you didn't remember it or say it, but yeah, that was wow.
Yeah, and it shows. Yeah, it shows a dark side of the ring, very similar to this from way back in the day. There's this promoter named Billy Wolf who would essentially force girls to sleep with him for advancement of their careers. It's another important one that I think fans should watch. But absolutely, we are always making progress, but we can always do better. That's what I will say. Brandon Harrison says, this is sickening. Agreed. It absolutely was.
It gets worse. This is just the tip of the iceberg, man. Like it gets worse.
Yep. CC says, I agree. Brandon Harrison went on to say, I wonder how his kids feel about his statements if he has any. Yeah, Ric Flair does have kids. Charlotte Flair is his kid. He's got kids. So
3, right? Or is it?
well, he had. Well, I think he has a few. I know that
I'm not sure
Reed
exactly,
and Charlotte. I know Reed and Charlotte, and there was also yeah. So anyway, I hope I hope they feel disgusted. I hope so too. Umar sounds fed up. Yeah, I am fed up. It was something like when I saw the documentary, I literally I was expecting to just watch it and go to sleep, and it's something that it took me like an hour to truly like process. Like I was like, it jars you as a wrestling fan, especially if you're not familiar too much with the events that took place. It jars you, but it makes you think, and I think it's a good thing. We should be thinking and talking about these issues more so.
The one that bothered me the most, this one got me too, but the one that bothered me the most was about Jake the Snake's father.
Oh yeah, that was also another one. That was very heavy.
That one was hard for me to watch. That one and the Owen Hart one too as well.
Yeah, absolutely. ABB says, if you could possibly at all predict the matches at Full Gear, we'll do that in a second. Branson Harrison said, more so concerning Tommy's kids. I think Tommy does have kids. I believe he has a daughter, if I'm not mistaken.
I think so.
And
that's another situation too. Like,
I'm not gonna be the person who's like, put your loved one in that shoes. But if I had a sister or if my mother was in that position, I would not feel the way Tommy Dreamer feels at all. And I would like to think that if he thought about it in that same way, he would not think that. So again, if you're one of those people, truly think about that if that happens to someone you love.
Yeah, I hope he rethought that situation, honestly.
I hope so too. Genuinely hope so. ABB says, if you could possibly predict at all matches at Full Gear, what would they be? Love the stream, guys. Keep going. Those numbers will increase in no time. Thank you, and they always are because of wonderful people like you who hit that like button, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you get notified whenever a new video is released. I'm going to put that on the shirt one day. So as far as Full Gear goes, I think the big match is going to be Hangman Adam Page versus Kenny Omega for the AEW World Title. I think that's going to be the big main event match. That we all know. It's the pay-per-view that is literally Hangman Page. It was named for him. It was his pay-per-view. So that's going to be a big one. That's one that I think most fans are expecting. Other than that, there's a chance we see Thunder Rosa versus Dr. Britt Baker DMD there. I think there's a very good chance that they
might see Sammy Guevara versus Miro.
Miro. Yeah, Sammy Guevara versus Miro. They just build that up with Fuego. Who, by the way, Fuego, God bless him, my guy. Your car, you just got this new contract, got this new Hyundai. You're chilling, and you trade in a car for a world title match. Oh my God, this is one of the dumbest moves.
It was, but it was.
But hey, Fuego is 1-61 right now. But when he gets that first win, bro, when he gets that win, that big 1-2-3 kid win, it is going to be one of the most special things ever. And it's going to happen one day.
It is one of these days.
One of these days, Fuego's going to win. Other than that, what else could happen?
It's a lot. It's a whole
something with the Super Click. Super Click versus Death Triangle.
Ooh. And hopefully by then, the Trios Championship will be.
Oh. That could be fun. Super Click. Now I want that match. No, I don't want any other match. I want Super Click versus Death Triangle.
That'd be great.
I want that. Tony. I want that.
Please.
Please, Tony, please. Yeah, I think the possibilities are endless. You got Bryan Danielson and CM Punk. We haven't even talked about that, guys. Bryan Danielson and CM Punk are going to be on the card at some point. Yeah, who knows what they're going to do, but whatever the roster's so loaded, they could do whatever, and it's going to be money.
Exactly. They can do whatever they want.
Darby versus Bryan. Darby versus Bryan.
That'd be a damn good match.
Okada versus Omega.
Ooh.
Because Okada's going to jump one of these. They're not jumping. They're going to do that swap. He's going to do that talent swap, and Okada's going to come over for a match eventually, and it has to be with Omega. Favorite wrestler, guys, all time, currently. Trevor, favorite wrestler all time.
All time? Got just one or two?
One.
One.
You,
Shit.
One. You got to make someone upset.
Shawn Michaels.
Mine is the American Dragon, Bryan Danielson. He's my favorite. Always loved him. Always will. And he's such a great guy. What a great guy.
He's a nice guy.
He's genuinely
He really
nice.
is.
He's a nice guy. Right now for me, like I'll take Bryan Danielson out of it. Right now, my favorite wrestler. There's so many good ones. Trevor, what about you? Who's your favorite right now?
Right now, again, so many good ones. I might. It's between two. Probably Freshly Squeezed and John Moxley.
I think I'm gonna go with a little bit of an underdog. An underdog. It's the big dog. No, not the big dog. But no, for me, I think Darby Allin's my favorite right now.
Yeah,
I said this
definitely
before.
like that.
I think Darby Allin has this interesting aura about him. He's genuinely cool, like in a way that similar to Jeff Hardy back in the day. You just look like, and it's just the way he carries himself, the fact that he doesn't care about what people think, and it's just his entire aura is just something cool and interesting, and it draws people to him. Yeah.
If we're talking indie guys, though, Danhausen definitely. Danhausen is my favorite wrestler right now. Indie wise, anyway.
He's decent.
Yeah.
He's no Bandito though. Yeah, Bandito.
I thought you were
Anyway, but yeah, no, this is fun. Trevor, any final takes?
Keep the questions coming, guys. This was really fun. A lot of fun.
It's a fun time, guys. Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you so much for listening. IBB, CC, Harrison, Brandon Harrison, Kerwin, all you guys. Of course, Ryan Woodridge, the great Ryan Woodridge. Thank you so much, guys, for joining us. Please hit that like button if you haven't already. Subscribe. Hit that notification bell. We got Real Take Sports Talk. So all you people who came in with your your sports questions on my wrestling podcast, check out my sports podcast tomorrow night, where I'm going to be talking about all the news. You guys can ask me all the questions you want there. Real Take Sports Talk tomorrow. Real Take Football Talk on Sundays, every morning, Sunday morning. Break down all the Sundays game. I'm a maniac and I love content and I love providing it to you guys. Trevor, say bye to the people.
Bye, people.
We will see you guys same time, same place next week.